Marie,
Hi, Marie.
you're not on your couch.
No, I'm up.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good, and it's a bit strange at the moment, but I don't know what it is. I mean, there's nothing bad as such, but it's just I feel, I've been feeling a little bit disconnected and a little bit overwhelmed with stuff, work and
Life.
and sort of, not freaking out either, just being like, okay, let's just be with that and see where it goes. And what if I don't have to make it a big problem? But it's interesting. I know, I've been listening to all you. I don't think I caught up with everything, but I've been listening to stuff, and each time I wanted to connect, and I was like, no, but I actually don't know what I want to say, and so I left it, and wanted to connect later. But anyway, it's just been really, really strange.
It's hard shoveling away the avalanche, right? Like if you sort of show up and if you don't jump on it right away, it just snowballs into a bigger thing. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. There's still, I think, messages from 2 weeks ago where I had wanted to say something to you guys, but it's like, okay, well, that train has passed probably.
Totally.
But hey,
totally.
Wait until the flow brings it around again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, totally. And it was so interesting, all this stuff of about expertise, and thank you, Elena, for ever stirring the pot as you do. It was just like, here we are, we're going to meet in like 12 hours, and everybody is just getting deeper and deeper on this thing. And well, yeah, what's the definition and what is it? And I even got to the thing based on Gail's thing is like, does it require a connection to source? Is kind of the question that I got to, because she doesn't want to apparently be the expert in pigs and green roofs, maybe blue roofs, but not the green ones. I'm assuming those are eco-friendly roofs, but I don't know. But and I get that. I mean, I think I've been really good at something that there's people that are master plumbers. They're expert in plumbing, but really want to be authors. So does that lessen their expertise or just lessen their enjoyment of the expertise?
That's such a good question.
That just made me think of, oh man, like you were kind of talking, Dean, about kind of the connection to source as we're thinking about this, and our being in alignment with that. It makes me think about when I was serving as a health practitioner and running diagnostic tests for people. And I studied deeply, and I love science, and obviously I can be very nerdy, right? And so, because of the time I spent and the experience that I had and the amount of people I had worked with, like, could I have claimed expert status? Maybe. Yet what you were saying was just making me think of when I was in the transition from practicing that way into offering more transformational coaching like I do now, and how hard it was to let go, which is so less me being connected to source and claiming expertise through like the guidance of source, and more claiming expertise through my ego, right? And it was so hard for me to stop talking about myself as a health practitioner, because it was the way that I was able to create business for myself. And it was like letting go of what felt like the security net. And so that just really stuck in my head. Like, there really is a difference between our forcing expertise or like holding ourselves in one position of expertise versus really being in alignment and almost like what we've been guided to become experts in.
We're often communicating, for lack of a better term, Jesse's term, the shiny shit. Right? I've got this certification and I've been doing it this many years and I can do these awesome things. And like you said, your ego, it's all that stupid shiny shit. I have that now. I am an amazing consultant to nonprofits. I can do magical fucking things. People will pay me big bunches of money if I can just find them and talk to them. And ultimately I love it. I love portions of it, but is that really where, like, am I holding on to that simply because I got, 25 years of working with nonprofit, like all the shiny shit that goes with it.
Right.
And once you let go of that, then that stuff is just not that important. And where can I find the connection to recharge the source juice? And I find that at times in that, but also very much in working with people, individuals, and watching their eyes get big.
Mm.
So there is definitely a connection there, but I think you can be an expert in something that is not totally aligned.
Yeah.
Would you say,
yeah, I'm so curious about that. Like, obviously you have spent a lot of time and have a ton of experience, right, around the nonprofit work that you do. And so you can claim expertise in that, should you want to. And what do you think it is that has you veering from that, right? If you've got all the experience and you can do magical things, like.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is recognizing exactly what it is the magic there. And to me, it's ultimately my point of view, right? One of the favorite things, and I wish I could remember where it came from, is that what you have that's better and different, and your biggest asset that nobody else has, is your own personal point of view. And I can go in and listen to somebody in a nonprofit thing talk about a couple of things and put them together and build them, in my head and spit that out. But there is so many layers of other sort of, before you get to the gold of that connection and that change. It's so much harder than if you're sitting down with one person and bringing that point of view laser beamed on their thing rather than an organization's thing and all that other stuff. And that just the voltage is a lot higher. Jared.
Hi, kettlebell runner.
There you go. I guess we don't have any foreign objects that can fall on your head, so you don't need the hard hat here.
Correct.
And I have to say, you pull off something that's not easy. You look good in a hard hat. That's not an easy thing to do, even if you do put on your serious face for your selfies.
Oh boy, the amount of fun we have on projects.
I bet.
I love that. I love that.
I bet.
Also, the amount of drama, the amount of heartache, the amount of disappointment,
backbiting, and yeah.
I think Dean used the word life earlier. Like, all of life is encompassed in that.
It's so full spectrum.
The full spectrum. That's awesome.
Love it all.
That's awesome. Marie, I'm so curious, because you've been in your thing around this conversation of expertise and claiming expert status. What do you notice, or what comes up for you?
It was interesting when you talk now about the, where you come from, what you've learned, what you've studied, what you can sort of have as a qualification. And I was reflecting upon, what that brought up for me. And I'm not quite sure yet how to put it in words or what to make of it. But for me, it's, I've studied little. I mean, I've studied opera singing, right? So it's like, and I've done different things, but it's like I have nothing on paper that justifies, a particular expertise. And that's something I'm, struggling with as well, or sort of, wondering, how do I know there's a lot that that my sheer life experience and me and sort of, who I am, who I be is offering. And I just have, those questions, that you brought up around that, I was like, wow, I've got so much work to do there to just start to even look at what is that I could see myself as an expert in. And I find it challenging, for sure. Go for it.
Why is it that we think a qualification, a document, someone else's approval, a certification is needed for us to feel as an expert. And like I've been there myself so many of the times. And like with the WhatsApp message with coatings, I have no documentation, but I still know it deeply, and I'm actually referred that by others. So like there's credit there. But when it comes to two other ones that come to mind on the other side that I've faced, meditation and breath work. Like you have all these people getting certified to do breath work in therapy and in whatever, you know, symbol that they want to do it in. And like, I'm going back to this trigger I received when I watched this guy. Is like you know, it's a marketing video of him walking around these people doing breath work, and he's making everything about him, and he talks about his certification. Aren't you missing the point? I mean, at that level, at that specific level, but yet I am not teaching breath work because I have no certification. I don't have the power inside of me to believe. I do have it, I'm not seeing it, to believe that I'm worthy of taking someone on a 3-hour journey. I don't have that confidence. And that confidence comes after I've done it through training with a certification, right? So I'm pointing at the dichotomy in it while burning sage because I've had too much going on this morning.
Jared, before you jumped on, we were talking about Jesse and his nobody cares about your shiny shit.
Yep.
Thought. And I think that's exactly it. It's our ego that we're trying to appease, either by the certification or I've been doing this number of years with this many people and whatever else. It's all to appease our ego, to feel the thing that makes us uncomfortable is the thing we're appeasing, right? So the reason that we don't go out there is because the ego is creating the doubts. And once we feed it a certification, then it says, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And the more we say journal, I am the best, then the more we grow that feeling inside. So I'm around the Sean Whalen sphere, and Sean Whalen the other day was in a video was saying how you need to proclaim your area of expertise. You need to own it. And he's summarizing what we're talking about in his little video, and he's saying how, why are you going to let some other person who's not doing what you're doing tell you that you're not an expert? Like, and it's, I don't know, it's an interesting conversation because use me and the breath work, like that's a pretty easy thing for me to just do. I have great personal experience and I've studied it on the technical side, the book side. So the factor that's remaining is outside opinion and me declaring it. And the outside opinion comes when you declare it, right?
Why do you need the outside opinion at all?
No, I'm saying, Dean, I look at you as an expert in some of this technology stuff.
Okay.
And like, that's what I'm saying is like people, you can talk to people in the Arizona community of coatings and they're going to tell you that I'm an expert. And I don't need that, but like that comes after I am, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It makes me, Jared, you use the word training, and not necessarily a training that leads to a certification, but our time on the mat or our time in the seat or whatever the case might be, that we're getting in there and getting experience, right? We're getting the experience that gives us feedback. This work, this doesn't. Do more of this, less of this. This is how this is, I'm sure that's how you developed your expertise in epoxy coatings, right? You started and you learned and you got feedback, and you weren't always an expert, right? And I think it's a really interesting sort of flip side of this conversation, that we are in such a unique time where we have access to so much information, so many trainings, so many certifications. Anyone can be an expert in anything. And I think we've been a little bit drawn to claiming the status without the proof underneath it. Right. And I think that's, as I'm listening, I'm hearing, oh, like this is what lends to imposter syndrome, right? Of I'm going to claim expertise when I don't actually have it. Right. Versus I'm going to train, I'm going to practice, I'm going to put the time in, get the feedback, and then allow myself to claim, I don't care about certification. I'm going to claim expertise because I've put my time in.
I totally agree. And our school system actually does that to us and for us, because they say you have that degree and you're a lawyer. You're nothing until you prove yourself into that as an expert. If you train enough, do things enough, blah blah blah, you have enough experience in those self-development groups and so on. People say, I'm a coach, I'm this and that. I say, usually I don't get into that stuff, but when I get into that, I say, actually, you're a coach after 100 satisfied clients. You're not a coach when you have some shiny shit behind you on your wall, and that actually cuts a lot of them who say, I'm coach. So this is, for me, the only way to claim that I'm this or that, by showing that. And I'm a coach or something that serves me just like something that in an introduction, when I'm Miro, what do you do for a living? I'm a coach. Nothing else. Because if you ask me what kind of coach, blah, 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 I have to put out my expertise and show you what I do. Not anymore to tell. When I say I'm coach, I'm finished with telling. Everything else is showing.
That's one of the, so I grew up in the South. We have, Southern sayings. Alligator mouth, hummingbird ass. And it's one of the things that I've learned recently that I absolutely adore about proclaiming yourself as the best, as an expert, as mastery in something, is the universe is going to provide that doorway wide open for you to back it up. And then you're going to either learn or really learn.
I think one of the issues, and as Elena, it popped into my head when you talked about imposter syndrome, is that I think one of the things that stands between us and our greatness is being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And I had a baseball player that was probably one of my third best athlete I had ever coached. And he was just so gifted as an athlete, but he always had a blister, or his hamstring was too tight, or it was cold outside, or his pants didn't fit right. He always had something that, made him uncomfortable. And when I became a consultant, you have to become comfortable with and Jared does the same thing, right? You have to be comfortable to walking into any situation and knowing knowing without a doubt you can answer the questions, you can deal with it from a professional standpoint. There isn't anything magical to that. It's just that being comfortable to be on that spot around this space with an expectation from external people. And that, you know, and to me, the imposter syndrome is having all of that knowledge, but not finding comfort in it, right? And finding the dis-ease of standing in that spot, which I think is, again, I mean, as all of this is self-induced. And very often experience of standing in that spot and knowing that you handled it can get you over it, but I don't think that's a requirement. I think you can get up, and I mean, I remember my first meeting, I had this, my first consulting meeting ever was I had a boardroom full of people around the table, and my boss said, go. And I had to explain why I was the best person to run a project doing something I had never even thought of like a month before that, much less ever done any consulting project. And I walked out on their shoulders and basically told them that the thing they wanted to do, they couldn't do. You have to do this different thing. And they did it and they never looked back. But that's only because I was not smart enough to be scared, I think.
So you're an expert bullshitter, Dean, is what you're telling me.
Now you got it. I have been unmasked.
I was that guy. I was that guy before that always had something, some issue, you know, and I connect that with that. Actually, I wasn't in a place that I wanted to be. When I started to be in a place I wanted to be, blisters wasn't the problem anymore, you know, and all uncomfortabilities fell in a second role, second plan, you know. But long time I was that guy that had every problem in the world with everything in the world, you know. That was my actually moment when I started to do things that I wanted to do, you know, no matter how hard that was. That was my choice. I wanted to be there. I claimed that position, that place. That helped me.
I want to go backwards because I say that jokingly, Dean, to you, right, about being an expert bullshitter. And
there are worse things to be.
Well, I mean, I've let you all know I'm fascinated by this conversation, right, around the whole notion of claiming expert status. And like, I hear the differentiation, like we all start somewhere, right? Whether we're starting because our ego, like I was talking about me as a health practitioner, my ego had me there getting experience, developing expertise, right? And at first I was great at selling to people, right? Selling myself as a health practitioner, but I wasn't an expert. But I had to sell. I had to be an expert bullshitter, sort of, right? In order to get the experience. And so I'm just really like, there's this differentiation, right? Between, you know, us in it, like Dean, you weren't an expert consultant at that point, right? Maybe you were expert in hearing the needs of the organization, right? And then because you got the job, then you started developing expertise. Or like Jared's not an expert breathwork facilitator right now, right? He might be an expert in breathwork, right? Because he's practiced, he's put in a lot of time in it. He knows what works really well. He knows how to make adjustments, those kind of things. And once he starts offering it, right, and teaching others, then he'll become an expert breathwork facilitator. Right. So I just want to clarify because I'm being sort of, you know, goofy saying, oh, so you're an expert bullshitter. But I really feel like there's, you know, there's something in there for me that's really got me like, you know, obviously being super analytical about the expert term. And I think a part of it is my frustration with a coaching industry, that there's so many people selling as if they, and I think the coaching industry is the thing to lead the way in transformation on the planet. I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen, you know, to come up and through us. And because I believe so much in it, it frustrates me terribly that we're also bastardizing it. And I think that's a part of why I feel so passionate about the conversation of what really qualifies someone as an expert versus someone who is growing expertise,
A
right?
poser.
And so I'm not sure how that fits into, and sorry to go backwards, Miro, I hear you saying, you know, there's that being in the practice of everything being off, everything being wrong, and how that sort of holds us back, you know, from maybe that holds us back from being able to step into developing expertise in any situation.
There's a thread that follows Elena through all of this, and that's what I mentioned earlier, is a belief in my point of view, my ability to see something in a way that others don't see it, or to create a unique vision, to take what someone's saying and connect it to 6 other things. And that happens wherever I go. And I didn't have this paradigm to look at it, but the ability that I had in that boardroom was trusting my intuition, my insight, and sharing it strongly with those people. And Jared does that through his work and his split testing, and his, you know, under his strength is that viewpoint and interpretation of sales and of epoxy floorings and of breath work and the other things that he does, right? And that's where you were when you were being the diagnostician and bringing your interpretation and your viewpoint, so that it isn't ultimately, you know, the bullshit artist. It's trusting the deeper self, even before I knew what that meant. Right. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, I don't need this. I don't need these certifications. I don't need this stuff. I got this thing. And so we started out this by saying, are we connect? How does expertise align with the connection of source? I'm kind of back at it. That's where it all lives. I love that smile, Jared.
You're just tying into my thoughts so beautifully, Dean. Elena, part of where you're coming from resonates so deeply, because like I backed away from the whole coaching community. I don't think I have coach listed on any bio because of exactly what you expressed, the frustration with the degrees. What I feel is, one, something I know is that everyone who is following that plan is following it because that's what they feel they should, right? That's where they are at. So this is connected to it's on a parallel path of the religion. Coaching has brought humanity from here to here. Now, there are some of us, and I'm not trying to use separation, but we feel that the standard, the quality needs to be over here. And we're not going to allow, we don't feel good. We don't feel, we feel a stronger sense of responsibility to the conduit to take it so much deeper, because a factual reality is that a lot of the coaching that is happening, a lot of the expertise is all on a horizontal plane. You're helping a person move from here, flatlined over here. And so things are better because they lost this problem, but they haven't really evolved much in the soul aspect. They've gained a little experience. All of that is very useful. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not using that word, but we're now at a place that we can, there's light workers. There's all these other titles of people that came here for a complete different purpose than this, but it's this. And that's what I see you pointing the finger at, or pointing the spotlight at. And that's why owning the title of expert has such relevance and importance and gravity and sincerity and sacredness to it, because you're not willing to settle with what society has settled with. You're taking it to a whole different plane, because there is the energy, there is the consciousness of a lot of this that is relevant with where humanity is going, even though most humans don't see it.
Anybody else want to just go out and run through some walls right now?
Perfect.
Hulk smash.
Jared, thank you. I can't wait to listen to the replay. I can feel to my bones exactly what you're saying, the depth of truth in that. Thank you for putting that frame around it, because it has been a fascinating, not even 24 hours thinking about this concept, but it has felt really, really important.
We've created a thesis paper on expertise in 24 hours.
Miro, we need you to copyright it.
There you go. Oh, I love it.
See the possibilities.
Oh, the possibilities. Congratulations, Miro, by the way.
Yeah.
Sounds like come out of nowhere. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, by the way, I did this and I did this. And super celebrating you. Super dedication.
Thank you. I'm so actually happy and proud of myself in some way. And it's a good thing. It's a big thing. And I love the results. And that client of mine, who I was with on the coast, called me today. I probably saved him about 200,000 euros today with my advice. Actually, not advice. I was telling him what exactly to do, not to be stupid, to do what he wanted to do, you know. And he half an hour after, he called me and said, Miro, thank you. Thank you for making me do this. I know that's a good thing now, you know. So big thing.
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks.
Totally.
Perfect.
Totally. I love how all the personal, you focusing on you and your health and your business and your flow, how it translates into that insight and wisdom coming through to then support him taking that flow and running with it as well.
Yes, and every time we do something for ourselves, we actually get more powerful for all the universe, you know. And I can give more power to people who I work with, who I live with, who I talk with, you know, to everyone, because I am the one who, like a locomotive, you know. The stronger the locomotive, the more power it can give to transport the stuff. It went well for me, really, those few last days, and I feel your support, and unity, through messages and everything. That means a lot, because I know that there is a pack, there is a tribe of mine who will whoop me always.
Sometimes I
Whoop,
need
whoop.
a whoop whoop.
TM.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do.
Sometimes I need a whoop whooping.
We're a tribe of people that will whoop whoop me. Yes. I didn't know what I needed it until I found it.
I was sort of rambling about this yesterday, and it's just kind of coming back around again. Just, I think exactly what you're saying, Miro, like knowing what's here in this container. There's been times, it's been a wild last couple of months, and especially the last couple of weeks, because we've been different places and lots going on with that, as far as traveling and family and that kind of stuff. And there was times where I felt myself sort of hitting some resistance, momentum going, and then hitting the resistance of it. And like, oh, this is something I just want to get the perspective of the group, and imagining coming in and sharing with you all, and then not because of the circumstance or whatever the case might be. But just knowing that whatever thought, question, challenge, celebration I had, knowing that it would be held with such reverence, and that then no matter what energy, even if I was kind of a low vibe bringing it in, that naturally there would be a high vibe response. Like there's something about that just sort of maintains that momentum, and maintains like the freight train that's going, right? Like it's a freight train that goes and isn't going to stop. Like that high vibe isn't going to stop for anybody. That's what I was saying the other day, is like knowing this container. It's like I was able to siphon off what you were creating, Miro and Jared specifically, because you were sharing, right, what you've been creating and in right now. It's like, oh, I've totally been siphoning that energy when some of my own energy wanted to be like, right, screech to a halt. So I'm always trying to find words to express why it is I feel so much just magic here.
If I can jump on your metaphor a little bit, Elena, the way I kind of look at it is that at times I'm drafting behind this group, right? This group is cutting through the stuff, and I'm just riding the wave like the dolphin is, porpoising along the side of it. And sometimes I'm on the boat, but just when you can't sort of push through the stuff yourself, you've got this group that is just kind of clearing the water for you, clearing the path. And it's wonderful to know it's in your pocket, right? It's just something, it's another tool you got to get through your stuff. It's amazing. It's very cool.
Isn't it another powerful connection to the name in the flow of it? Because that's literally what happens in the flow of it.
Mm-hmm. You're drafting it. Just ride the wave. Beautiful. Damn, you're good at this stuff, Jared. You should be like a breath healer or something.
It is always surprising, right? In the flow of it, it's always surprising to me what comes. Like if I do ask a question or somebody else asks a question, if my mind wants to say, oh, this is where this conversation will go, it never does, right? Or if I show up and I think I'm just going to get loads of advice back, all of a sudden people are relating their own experience. It's amazing because it's never what my brain says it's going to be. And it's always so much more rich, right? It's surprising to me, and it's always so much more rich.
And isn't that how this higher level of coaching is as well?
Exactly. Yes. I usually never have an idea when my where my sessions are going to go. I kind of put some plan, but it always goes like, in a totally different way. And I actually aim for the most powerful way at this moment for that person, and that's usually a lot more than that person can even imagine. I have a client right now. She was we started with just 3 sessions, and she went on first session, and in next few days for her a lot of miracles happened in her life, and now she was like 2 months. She just sends me messages what is going on. She never asks for another session, like, and I'm waiting for her to be ready.
Can I ask a question about that? When you have clients like that, where you're just being you in the flow, and then that client is receiving, right? And then results are just sort of being created through that flow. Do you have a sense that they come to you already open to that idea? Like they're already pretty receptive to flow? Anybody?
Usually no.
No.
Usually they have a goal. They have an idea what they want to accomplish. And the first thing when I talk with them before coaching is to soften that up, a little bit. But when we start, I still say that to them that it will going to be like that they expect, because it would be silly for me to promise them it's going to be more than they ever expected. But when we start to do the work, I just let them feel good about what is going on, and then I lead them and let them to do their inner magic, And when they stumble upon something or whatever, I'm here to receive, to make that soft, and to remove that obstacle in front of them.
Can I say something on that? I find it very interesting how, so everybody has awareness, correct? But their awareness is shining this spotlight, and most of the time, the average person isn't aware of their awareness. So they have these urges, and they have programs to avoid the urges. So when they're coming to you, that doorway is not technically open. You're the container that holds the space for them to actually see what their awareness is actually shining the light on. And when we are a conduit and we follow the flow of it, then the voice is one, yours and theirs, and you're able to speak to the awareness that they are not seeing. That's what I heard you ask.
I think to some degree that space has the power of the new employee. And by that, I mean, whenever you're hired as the new employee, if you want a new computer, that's the time to get it. There's like a period of newness in that spot before you get into the routines and the presumed answers or questions. And in that newness with a client, when you can kind of bring exactly what Jared said more beautifully than I could ever imagine to say it, that presence and that focus on them and their awareness, that's jolting, or can be. And because there isn't a script written in that relationship yet, I think that allows you to crack open that space, which is what Jared was communicating. But I think a lot of it is there hasn't been a history written yet. And so when you create that new space and then you're going down, that allows you to continue down that path. But thank you, Jared. That was pretty awesome.
Thank you, you guys. Marie, what you doing over there?
Yeah.
I just typed what Jared said.
Cool. Did it make it in there? There we go.
Oh, good. That's
Thank you,
so
Marie.
awesome.
And please correct me, Jared, if it's not what you said.
I don't know what I said.
Oh,
In which
he's in the
case,
flow of
What I
it.
then
think
it's
Jared
perfect.
said.
He's in the flow of it. Oh, did you put it in WhatsApp?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. Well, that's a whole nother topic I'll bring into WhatsApp awareness.
I love it.
Okay. Do we need to solve any other world crises or something? We've got, 10, 12 minutes. We could probably solve a couple of them.
I have to fill my truck up if the light's on empty. I mean, like that seems to be a crisis in many people's pocket right now.
Yeah. Get the bank loan.
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
I'm back.
He's back.
Maria, is there a topic you want to address at all?
I don't hear you.
There was something I wanted to share, and I'm not sure if I have a question. I just was talking before of just being in this space for quite a while now, of just not knowing exactly what's going on and feeling slightly uncomfortable with life in general, and that's what it is. And one thing that's just going on at the moment is my kids growing up, and of course, all kids are growing up, but. And which I just experienced so intensely at the moment. So my bigger one, my daughter turned 17 last weekend, and the younger one is 12 and a bit. And it's just actually it's very beautiful to see them grow, to see them, sort of. I mean, my younger one, his voice has changed so much already. He's not, yet kind of going over, but it's like, I was listening to a recording of something we did for my daughter's birthday last year, and he sounded like such a kid. And now it's like, it's just totally different, a different boy, I mean, it's just so different. And it's just so touching. And at the same time, there's something in me where I'm like, oh my God, this is happening so fast. And he's not anymore needing me in the same way as before, in the sense of, whatever, cuddling and needing, closeness. And I'm fine with that. And at the same time, there's that sense of, wow, they're doing fantastic. And at the same time, did I give them everything they really require, and I know it's not over. There's still a bit of a chance to, to show them stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of joy in that, in seeing that, and as well a lot of lots of emotions around this. And I'm not sure, it's not like it's not being scared of letting them go. I don't feel that, but it's just like it's so big and so intense and so amazing and so interesting, and I'm not sure yet what that is, but they're just it's special. I mean, my daughter turning 17 and asking her, so how does it feel, and she said, well, I don't know, I'm a little bit scared. And I was like, oh, really? What is that? And she said, well, I've been dying to become 18 for ages because I want to be free. And, I had so enough of this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then now I'm like realizing, it's actually quite nice to be under 18, because what's going to happen when I'm 18? Do I have to insure myself, or how does this and that work? And I was like, my God, you're thinking about those things. It's amazing, right? And at the same time, just telling her, hey, don't worry. It's great that you, of course, start having those questions, and we'll figure it out, and we'll be there for you anyway. But it was just so interesting to see her, having those questions when the night before all she had in her mind was, party and just having 25 friends here at my flat. I hardly slept. I was so nervous. So we know how I was going to find the flat when I came back. They drank like, crazy. I thought more than enough alcohol, but apparently they didn't have enough. They had to buy more. And it was like really being a kid, who loves partying and at the same time having such thoughts. And I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe of her and of both of them, actually. And it's just so beautiful. And also pretty sort of unsettling how beautiful it is. I don't know if that makes sense, but something.
Mm-hmm. There's such markers of time too, right? I think this is sort of a parallel. We were sitting last night having dinner outside with my parents, and for some reason my girls started talking about my age, and one of them said, well, Mama's 45, and I was sitting next to my dad, and he was like, how is that possible? He was like, just a blink ago I was 45, and he's sitting there as a 72-year-old, like, and I could just feel that, like, the truth in his expression, that it really seems like yesterday, he's talking about 27 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. And so I've been really feeling that, just, the development from generation, and the complexity in all of it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You're witnessing it, being witness to it, Marie.
Yeah, it's quite something. Yeah. And it's kind of, I feel like, so I love myself as a mom, and at the same time, I'm like, I actually have probably no clue what I'm doing. It's like, it's this thing of just being so aware of, oh my God, this is just so big. This is just so, it's so like, sometimes I just sit there or stand there and I just think, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with that particular situation right now. And then some other moments, there's like, it seems to totally flow, and, I start talking about something, and my son responds like, yeah, he totally gets it. He totally gets why, I don't want to give him a bank account right now, because I first want him to understand money physically in order to understand, what it means, right? So he owes me money, I owe him this kind of thing, right? And how much money is. And, I was trying to explain this to him yesterday, and I thought I had to really explain it greatly. And he said, no, I get it. I was like, okay. So he said, so, by the time I'm 13, if I really understand money, then I'll get a bank account. I said, well, yeah. Chance, we'll see, but yeah, first step is for you to really understand, to understand that concept of what money is physically, because if it's just on a bank account, you don't get that physical sense of it, right? That was my sense when he asked this to me yesterday, and he was totally getting it. He was like, yeah, I get it, no problem. And I thought he was going to argue and to find all sorts of, irrational explanations for why he should have a bank account right now. And he didn't. So it's kind of, it's surprising sometimes. It's like, oh, wow, this is going super easy and this is totally flowing. And then other moments where I'm like, don't know how to talk to them. Don't know how to deal with stuff. Yeah.
I love how things circle around. I'm listening to you, Marie, and by the way, I think there's a parenting manual that I found on the street. I think this one was meant for you. Like probably the address got messed up or something like that. Like they don't really issue those, but the love and the care that you just shared that with took me to the place of, we were talking about expertise, and I mentioned how you kind of need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Well, I think parenting equals that. I think there's the definition of parenting. And if, I am not one, but if, all of those parents can see, like, I can deal with a 12-year-old asking me money questions. Why can't I walk into that boardroom and stand there and be the expert of half a dozen things? Like I survived my 12-year-old. I think there's all the expertise you need for almost anything in the world. Like that's a game that's not a game, right? That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what makes it sometimes so freaking, I mean, like even more than uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, am I messing this up totally? And then there's those moments where it just seems to, it's okay. Like you said, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is so true of so many, I mean, it's so useful in so many situations of our lives. And a little bit what I'm experiencing as well, like I was saying, I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable now for a few weeks, and I'm okay with that. And what if that, just being okay with it is what allows it to shift and change and go where it needs to go. And resisting it would actually block that. So
I think this group could heartily suggest to go with the flow of it.
that one. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to run.
Jared, peace,
Thank y'all.
brother.
Bye, Jared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dean, thank you for coming back to that. It hadn't fully landed for me before when you were saying that, what you meant by being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and that really sank in. Yeah.
You're welcome.
The level of because this expert conversation is so rich for me. I'm seeing that, right? We can stand in our expertise. A part of what qualifies that is our ability to be in something, being uncomfortable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you communicated that as that, in your diagnostic past, that you were kind of working towards expertise, but had to sit in that at the time. Right. Sit and feel maybe not the expert, but stay in that spot, even though you were uncomfortable with that kind of space a little bit.
Right. Super cool. Well, Marie, I'm giving you a big squeeze, sister friend.
Thank you. Thank you. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
We love you, Marie. It will be perfect. It is and will be perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty.
Till
Next week.
Next week.